robię zdjęcia.
Hi, hey everyone. So 3 of us, right? We're gonna start very shortly, within 2 minutes. So be patient and see you in a moment.
Aha, chcesz ten drugi screen?
Gonna start. Welcome everybody, I'm so happy to see you here. Today our topic, travel on budget, stories and connection with 3 beautiful ladies. And so just basic stuff as well. If you need some toilet, there is one toilet through the door on the left. And pretty much that's it. So we can invite our first presenter, Kamila, so welcome. She's gonna talk about Morocco. Also, hi for the people from live stream or recording version. Enjoy!
Okay, come on, help her. This is the boss. The boss knows everything. The boss will check something, but do you want me to use the fancy microphone? Are you okay? Absolutely not. Because it's. Or do you want it to be used?
Maybe just throw on your shirt.
You just want me to be like super cool.
Yeah.
I know. We practice it. Let's be professional for today. Okay. Oh gosh. Let's start. Has anybody been to Morocco?
No.
No.
You're gonna take me there too.
Oh, you have guys. I know there are lots of good places in the world, but Morocco is the best.
And hot in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hot.
Surprisingly, that's what I was thinking, but I was really cold in Morocco for a few days because there was just this April when the spring was super bad and there was flooding, there was snow in Marrakesh and it was like freezing. There was frost in the hills. Interesting. I don't think so that works, but oh maybe it does. Do you see any difference? I'm going to go to my personal assistant.
Okay, so here should be good.
We're not achieving. Oh, we are achieving perfect. Oh gosh. I have a pants fit. Oh, okay. That's my problem. Is this going to? Okay. Hello. That's why I thought it's the best idea to talk about Morocco, because Morocco for me is rocks and hills and food and people. That's why I thought I will call my presentation The Land of Rocks and Couscous, because though we went there to the mountains and to the trek across Anti-Atlas, which is the most southern part of the Atlas. Mostly we're eating and spending time with people, which means that's what we're going to speak about. And that's why I love Morocco, because even though it's fantastic landscape, the food and people are the best. And being honest, this talk is mostly about that. They asked me to say something about me. I'm Kamila, I'm from Poland, but I live here for over 20 years, and I really like to be in the wild, usually doing random things like sleeping in the summit. By the way, that's the highest point when we went. It's only less than 2,500 meters, but even though it was April, it was freezing. That's why me walking in my down sleeping bag for a sunrise. It was amazing. The water which is there was frozen in the morning, by the way. And that's another moment. That's Morocco also. Very warm and beautiful. It was raining for the first 5 days. But people were giving us chocolate and taking care of us, which was amazing. Coming back to... I knew it. It's not going to be that simple. Let's do this. Okay. I thought I will start with something which everybody says to you when you... Can I just take this maybe? Or is it helpful? Because I don't like the noise. Whenever you go, people are so welcoming and they always say salam, salam alaikum, or they say azul because that's the language which they use in southern Morocco, which is the Barber language, which means you always hear azul or salam alaikum or salam. And that was the first day when the clouds get down. I don't know if you can hear anything.
No, there's no.
Maybe that's better you don't hear anything because I'm talking probably some. Okay. Maybe that's better because I'm mostly talking Polish. That, wow, where did we walk up? And that's the house where we staying, by the way. It's not a white camping. This is someone's house. And you will see in a moment people just living on this rock. This is like 1,600 meters, which means much higher than the highest point in Scotland. And you can see houses everywhere, even on the top like that. That was the uncle house, by the way. People have life. That's where we when we started. It was the third day, being honest. And then I wanted. Oh, wait a second. When I was preparing this, someone asked me why Morocco? Because I went to Morocco twice before. Once just for a long weekend in Marrakesh, and 2 years ago to climb the highest summit in High Atlas, which is called Tubkal. It's just above 4,000 meters. And I went with the Polish organized group, and it was incredible. The summit itself is not amazing, I would say, but the atmosphere, the people, the food, everything what happened, I promised myself I will come back. That's why this year, when I was looking for inspiration where to go, Europe was not possible in April because everywhere was lots of snow at that point, because we have very cold winter this year, lots of snow. Even in Scotland it was snow in April this year. That's why this book came across. I discovered David Wood and his treks in Morocco, and we figure out that he's having a route across, and thankfully the book included GPX files, which save our lives. I will talk about it a bit later, because the routes in Morocco don't have any, there's no marking. There's something else, but there's no marking, which means there are paths, okay, but there's nothing visible, which means you need something to go around. Which means we've got the book, we've got the plan. Just in case someone doesn't know, this is the big part in the middle. That's the High Atlas, the place where everybody goes. It's quite popular because the Tubkal is quite close to Marrakesh, and it's very popular, like super touristy, so easy to get. You require a guide, but it's fantastic experience because it's a 2-day trek, and usually you go there, you arrive on the top for a sunrise. which is quite spectacular. We went to this boring part, which, like we find out, not many people go. And it's what I love. I use that little picture from my phone because if you look at the shape, it looks like a little ghost, or for Polish people, it looks like buka. That's the range which we did, and I love that. We kind of start in Edinburgh, small village with very friendly people, and we finish in Tafraud, which is incredible place with the most cool climbing rocks in the world. If anybody wants like rock climbing, so Tafraud is incredible. I'm not going to show you anything from Tafraud because I think so you need to go and see it, even if you want to just go for a walk, because the rock formations are incredible. And yeah, we're not talking about Tafraud today. Oh, wait a second. And in real life, that's how Morocco looks like crazy woman just walking between orange rocks. And like I said at the beginning, Atlas is not really about, for me at least, it's not only about rocks, it's about people. And this is one day when we're kind of kidnapped by the locals. It was a very cold day and they were giving us some food and they asked us to wash hands. Let's see if it's going to play.
What do you mean by cold day?
Cold day, this means raining all day, which means you cannot see the hills. We were walking for 3 days just in the clouds, it was like Scotland. I was like, okay, I came to Morocco. I have everything what I had on myself, including my down jacket. I even bought a rain jacket in Agadir because it was in Agadir when we arrived. There was a hailstorm, which usually doesn't happen. Especially after 6 years of drought, that was the first rain this spring, which means people were delighted, but we were not.
You brought it from Scotland.
You came to Scotland, yes, and on that video, this is a video which I cannot play sadly, but on this video I'm just excited because someone is washing my hands with warm water and soap. You cannot even believe it, how exciting is that.
Maybe you can press play.
Play button, yes, well done. Okay, the button is playing, but it's nothing happening. But doesn't matter that much. That's a cool video, but I don't know how to do it. At least someone wants to help me. Let's do it again. Let's do it this way. I'm stuck now. See, because I pressed that and now it's doing something different. Sorry, I broke the system, but that's typical. Listen, let's go further. Yeah, it doesn't matter that much, being honest. And that's coming back to the route. I don't know if people are very interested, but the route from the book, from David, that was our plan. We loved it. It's like 110 kilometers. In the end, we changed it because we thought we can climb another hill. Overall, we did 130 kilometers, but surprisingly, even though it was not a very long route, it took us 12 days with 2 days of compulsory stopping. The elevation was nearly 9,000 meters because it's constant up and down, but it was lots of fun. Okay, let us think about the transport. Fly to Agadir if you're going to Atlas, not to Marrakesh because it's much closer and you're not wasting another day for traveling because you have to still travel to Agadir to do anything. Being honest, I was just putting that here for you to understand that the traveling is lots of options, but everything takes lots of time. There are buses, there are taxis, there are organized transport, which I think so on some occasions probably is the best. And there is option with hitchhiking, which also works. The train exists, but only in the south, in the north of Morocco. It doesn't go to the south. But what is very interesting for us, at least, we are on the picture in the taxi. which in the end was the cheapest option. And I just wanted to mention that probably after public transport is very cheap, but also the taxis are organized in very particular way, which means there are taxis in particular directions, and there's a group of people in the big taxi station. It's called taxi station because of the public transport not really going to small villages, which means there are organized taxis run by private people who take you to particular places, but they wait until the car is full, which means it kind of works like some kind of small bus system, which means in that taxi is like five or six of us going to in the direction which was working for us. In the end, it was very cheap, and probably that taxi was the cheapest thing which we took, even though it took 2 hours to drive to the place, and we felt so bad after because we felt like we should pay more, but it was interesting. That's a little bit about the route, but I will speak about it later. Someone told, when I was preparing this little talk, someone asked me, think about what was needed. What was needed, and my first thought was smile, because in the country, I don't speak French, I don't speak Arabic, and I don't know Barber language. English is useless overall. At least you meet someone from the north of Morocco who speaks other languages, which means you're in the country, part of the country when no one speaks your language or you don't speak their language. But in some incredible way, things happened and you learn quite quickly. I quite quickly learned some Tamazight. Tamazight is the Barber people language, and you learn, things for water. I will speak about it in a moment, and for food and other stuff. I wish I remember my French from high school, because it will be very useful. Lots of people speak basic French. Of course, Arabic. Moroccan Arabic is a little bit different, but people will understand. I will speak about the water again, because that's a huge part of the trip. If you have son, of course you know what to do. Krówki are there because I learned from the previous experiences, I needed to take something to share with kids and people, which means I have got lots of sweets in my bag. My travel companion, my boyfriend, was laughing at me at the beginning when he saw that, 1.5 kilo on my luggage is just sweets. But after first day, he understood why. It's no better way to bring, to build connection than give people
Santa Claus.
give people food.
How much did you eat of those 1.5 kilos?
Believe me, there was days when we have nearly nothing left and we find one spare fat in the bag. That was like a delight. We have a bit of a shortage of food because there's not much shopping experience in Anti-Atlas. Money is easy though, because you have to just buy it when you arrive. The money is the closed currency, which means you cannot buy it before you go, but you need dirham. You cannot really use any other money. Funny enough, we bought reasonably a lot, but we didn't spend nearly at all because it's very, very cheap, and on numerous days we were fed and we slept for free because they didn't want to take money from us. About shoes and trousers I will talk because, like you probably imagine in the hot places, not only rocks, but everything will scratch you. And your legs looks impressive if you make a mistake of getting into a bushes with shorts on. Weather, like I said, is similar to, I think so now, I would never thought I would say that, but it's very similar to the high mountains in Europe. It's very changeable. And the higher you go, the coldest it gets, similar like everywhere else, even in April. This thing probably I can say here because I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or after. Because there is no marking, because the paths are not used. For 12 days when we were there, we never met anybody on the path. No another tourist. no one really using the roots. When we met with locals, they were, for example, saying that, there was a German couple here a month ago, Korean 3 months ago, or lots of people from Belgium a few weeks ago. But they're like, one couple per week. That's the ratio at that point when we're there. About sleeping, I will talk. Sleeping is very interesting, depends where you go. And I need to mention that absolutely climbing kit if you go there, because so many opportunities for rock climbing. Incredible. Okay, let's move further. Yeah, we're going to learn some Tamazight. Tamazight is the language used by the Barber people, and the most important 5 words, of course, is hello, is azul, aman, water. The word bread I cannot say, because any time I was trying, everybody were laughing. It's like, it's like there's some words involved. It's not, it's more like achum. It's the very deep sound, but that's how the normal bread looks like. And of course, tea, and really the mint tea is called nana. Mint tea it's not really a meat tea, it's a meat tea with also oregano and lots of sugar. It's the best thing ever, and being honest, I missed that already. I love that. Water. Water on the trek is always interesting in the summer, especially in the hot climates like we have here sometimes in, maybe not in Scotland, but in Europe, I mean in July and August. I don't know where the water is in Morocco, but it's clearly not in Anti-Atlas. This is the summit, and we're making a tea, morning coffee, I should say, from the water which was just there, because. And you can see, it. It was crystal. You can see the patches of ice. I'm not lying. It was cold. But there's other options, which means overall water, it was not as complicated as I thought, because they are clever. And in few places in the mountains, they build like special tanks, and they are very clearly signed on the maps, on the trekking maps. You will know, which means in the particular places they are like water containers, and the water is pretty clean if you look. Of course, we a few occasions took a water from something which I will call a paddle with swimming insects. That was a dream. And then at some point, in quite deserted area, we find little community. There was just 2 houses, and they have the most wonderful well, which they allow us to use. I hope so. It's going to work. That's how you use the well in the mountains. It's like around 2,000 meters. This beautiful man is living there. Being honest, he was fixing his beehives at that point, but he came to us and helped us to take absolutely beautiful clear water. Which it was one of the biggest surprises, because we didn't realize this setting is going to be alive. It was on the maps. We knew it's something like old Barber house exists, but they not only have the well there, they also live there, and they have lots of things, including bees, which I will talk in a moment about. Okay, shopping. That's one of 2 shops on the way. The shop was open for 2 hours in the midday, and it was amazing. You never are so happy like when you, after a few days, see food. Which
so
is
in those 12 days, you only encountered 2 shops?
Yeah. And this one is like, you can see it's very basic, and it's only open for 2 hours a day. You have to be lucky to get it. But
did you know who was there? Or you just happened?
No, this person was helping us with helping. This is like chief of the village, and also have a shop, like, everywhere people have connections, let's call it. Which means, I will speak more about it, but the whole idea is that he told us about it when the shop is and when it's going to be open. That's why we could buy something different than just dry food at that point. But overall, I know you don't really need shopping. If you're very lucky, and you don't have to be that lucky, you just have to walk there, people will give you food. That is just my favorite lemon chicken, the best thing ever. You just eat from the same plate with strangers, which also gives you bread, and you enjoy the delicious food together.
Go on, how do you say the word bread?
Bread. Obviously, I'm just delighted that, you know, someone is giving us food. However, that was not the easiest. Oh. Okay. That's my photos disappear, but this is the most important photo because I wanted you to see how sugar looks in Morocco, especially in the
Escape. And then what?
How we can do escape? Oh, we can do escape. Oh, it is. That's couscous. Couscous appears regularly in our life when you're in Morocco. I'm trying. Press the right button. Yeah, come on. But traditionally, that's the 2 kilo pyramid of sugar, which they break. You can see in the smaller pieces, and that goes into the tea. But we also figure it out. We're told that that's what you buy when you come to the party, or you're visiting someone for a special occasion, like christening or wedding. Maybe not christening, because it's not really it's really a Muslim culture, but you know what I mean. Which means they still prefer to buy that the normal type of sugar, and it's like a rock thing which you break and then use the small pieces, mostly for tea. Get there. And the couscous was the same idea. Being honest, that was quite cool because there was a season for pumpkin, which was lots of couscous with lots of pumpkin and a bit of meat. But in these pink jars, they have kefir, and I was quite surprised that the bowls were not really for couscous. The bowls were for kefir, but you still eat couscous together from the same plate. But with the kefir, it was just delicious. That was a little thing which I recorded because this beautiful gentleman, I think so he was called Mohammed, he told me a story about like history of Morocco in tea, which means he's going to say like, of course he was speaking either in Tamil, I presume it was Tabazin. He will say that the tray is the shield. He was like a story, like the tray is the shield, the glasses are the soldiers, the tea is the general, and the sugar is the bullet. Like that's his explanation of tea ceremony in American history. But it's not very loud. I think so. It's Max. It's Max here. Here? Yeah. Oh. Okay. Doesn't matter, but Mama is telling me that story. I thought that was quite cool way of talking about it. Okay.
Okay, maybe let's go. So Scotland or Morocco? I am confused.
Yes. Would you guess? look, this moment of the sun, yes, but then it's raining again. Even though I'm constantly speaking about being generous, especially to the people who are living there, because they are so generous with everything. They don't have much, but they're most kind and generous people I met. But in this area, because I think so it's not very touristy, and also because in some ways they want to either control it or help people. I don't know how to judge it. We were kind of against our own will at the beginning, then we accepted that's the way of life. From village to village, or from pass to pass over the mountains, there were people walking with us for 3 or 4 days. And there was like, you know, there was no really talking about it. At the beginning, we thought this is just like some kind of scheme or some bizarre arrangement. We didn't know what's going on because on the first day, this random person told us that we need to show them their passport. No, it was not a random person, it was the chief of the village, but it looked like a random person because he appeared in a small car. And then we thought he's just friendly and want to see who we are. And he spoke with us, asking where we're from. But then he quite clearly said we need to show them our passports and we need to stay when he's going to tell us to stay because we cannot camp wild and we cannot cross the mountains by ourselves and there will be people walking with us. Of course, this is all happening without us speaking the language. Which you can imagine how much confusion it took. Took us a moment, and thank you God for Google Translator. But it was very interesting. Overall, it worked like well, but for the first day and a half, we didn't really fully understand what's happening and why they're doing it. I still don't fully understand, but maybe I should mention that in 2018 there was a fatal accident, there was a unfortunate incident with 2 girls being killed in High Atlas, and I think so all the security and control of the situation comes from them really wanting not to have any incidents like that happening again. Being honest, they regularly repeated that they do that for our own safety. Okay, but sleeping quiet is possible. Especially if you high, away from the villages and away from and close to the Fraud. At this point, we are kind of past this first northern part, which was much more controlled by the local people, and there's lots of places to put your tent in.
How come that again at night?
This one is on the first. This is pretty honest our first camp, and it's still like quite low. That's probably like just 400-500 meters high because we just walked like 10 kilometers from the last village, and there was still like we're still passing smaller villages on the way. This is on the top of the summit, which means that's the Jebel al-Qais, the highest point. But you have to remember that it's very close to Sahara, which means it's the typical desert climate.
Sandstorms? Do you get any?
You will see it. Yeah, we have on the last 3 days was again not much visibility because it was sand in the air. But coming back to the weather, it's typical that the nights are very cold, even in summer, and the temperature raises up like from around 10 degrees in the morning to 30 from like 12, 1 o'clock, and that happens like even in the summer, that the nights are quite chilly. With us, there was like freezing temperatures higher up, but that's quite normal, that this big drop of temperature between morning and midday. Because you will see it later on, the pictures will be completely different when the sun comes. Okay, there. But we didn't sleep in the tent that much, you can see. Sometimes we slept in random empty rooms with unfinished buildings, because that's where the local government people ask us to sleep. There was no option. That is the auberge, which we have to stay into, because that was the only one option in that particular place, and that was the hostel nearly at the end of the trip. Mostly because that was after like 4 or 5 days without wild camping, which means we really wanted to have a shower and have something to eat, which is not cooked on the gas.
When they told you to sleep there, did they ask you to pay for it?
No, that was the kind of I don't understand fully the agreement, and I looked online and I didn't find much information about it. But everything there for 4 days, first 4 days, the accommodation was free, and they were also quite welcome. After we stopped fighting with it, they were also quite welcoming to give us food.
A bit like
This
Baltic
too-
in
this-
Scotland. A bit like Baltic.
This-
free.
Yeah, it's a bit like Buffy experience, but with secret agents following every step. Which means when you're waking up, there's another guy, because it's not the same guy, because of course we're passing high mountain passes, we go kind of between very small villages, but there will be another, from village to village, they're passing the information. There's very good internet connection. And now, which means in the morning there'll be another person waiting for us and just following us. Sometimes they then even for the first day we didn't, at the beginning we didn't talk to the person because we thought if we don't talk, maybe they will go. But then we tried to talk and ask them, go. Of course they didn't. Which means, yeah, the bonus is that was free. But even though these accommodations were not free, for 2 people they were costing less than 20 euros with dinner and breakfast, which means it's not expensive. Okay. Okay. Nearly there. Sorry, I jumped. Dora. Okay. I just went to the end. And you know what? I don't know what I pressed.
Escape room.
But let's do escape. And even though I'm not very good with technology, we can fix this. Okay, you can see the sugar, we're nearly there. One more. Don't jump anymore. Being honest, this is like Morocco. You're constantly surprised. There's nothing really predictable about it. I thought I could use my favorite photo of the legs. That's how your legs looks like when you walk with shorts, like these little lines which creates. I used this one because first time ever I took, for different reasons, the tape with me for a trip, and it was a genius on the feet. Helped me a lot, and I used the tape for most of the trip, which we have a blue feet for most of the hike. But because I have older shoes, which were very well used, I needed something for extra cushioning on the front of the feet, and it works so well. Little tip. Hello!
Hiya.
Hello. Welcome everybody, welcome to our Morocco trip. Okay. How are we with time? We okay with time? Okay, I have a few minutes. Excellent. Maybe if I can do that. Yes. Okay. I thought I will kind of make it into like days, but I'm not going to talk about the days. I will just talk about the 12 days when we're there, but looking at my favorite memories and favorite things which happened on the day. And that was the start of the day. Could you guess what it is?
Some kind of fruit.
It's not exactly a fruit.
Something edible.
It's something edible and we ate a lot of it, but I never saw it looking like that outside.
Corn?
No, it's something which we have here, but it's quite popular, especially at Halloween season. But it's pumpkin. It's super bright orange inside. But that was the first time when I saw something looking so cool. But yeah, abundance of the best fruits in the world, and they have something. It's not on that photo, but they have something like yellow oranges, which taste like lemonade when you're eating. It's like the best thing ever. Which means if you ever in Morocco look for a yellow-looking oranges, look like lemon but taste like orange, but more like lemonade in the fruit. Fantastic. Okay. When you have your food, when you have your fudges from Poland, and when you have lots of dates, then you can go. You are fine. If you can use the laptop, that would be good. of course, the biggest problem is the water. I am kind of repeating this because that's why we happened to be in that house. We just went there to ask for water, but the people not only give us water from something like that, I don't even know how to call it, but like stone vase. They also,
right?
yes, let's go that. They also, of course, that's how they cook the tea. That's normal way. They just use the gas. They just make tea for us. Of course, they brought food. You will see it in a moment. You're just coming to borrow water. You take some water and you have to stay, and you eat like a king, because there is always bread in these forms. And there is always, if you can see on the plate, the yellow thing is some kind of butter, homemade. Then is the almond butter. Then is a little bit of cheese, olive oil, and honey. It's very typical. And then, of course, you have again the sugar. Remember the big cone? That's what they break it into, and they use it for tea. And in this particular house,
And I see a Scottish sweets.
yes, that was the exchange, because they refused to take any money, and I illegally left them some sweets. I hope so they ate it. And which was very special in that house, the son of the house took us to their old house, just for a little tour, and that's the doors to the house, and he just showed us the old building, and it was incredible. Like I said before, mostly without using a much language. We were very lucky, even though I complain about the weather. The rain have lots of bonuses. Firstly and foremostly is because Morocco produces lots of food. If you look in the shops, lots of, especially fruit and vegetables in the British shops is from Morocco. But that also means the mountains were quite green. It's it's quite unusual, especially that April is usually quite hot. But there was abundance of flowers everywhere. Sometimes it was like like walking through the meadow, especially at the lower part. This is the day, the beginning of the day 3 when we just starting the trek high. And yeah, but the flowers were kind of with us all the way, even at the higher points, which was, for me, it was very special because, like I said before, I was in the higher Atlas a few years ago, and there was quite bare landscape. I was there in September, and everything was just rock and dry plants, not much. I think so beginning early spring or even winter is perfect for that country. Okay. What else? Sorry, guys. That's our favorite. That's the agent. I'm not going to talk about it, but that's our first boss of the village, who just very kindly took us to his car, drove us 2 kilometers to a special location, which was our first compulsory sleep. At that point, we were grateful because it wasn't it was coming. It was very cold night with rain, which means we took it like a gift. And in the morning, we figured out what's happened, that we are kidnapped. And for the next, like I said, 3-4 days, we were walking with mostly beautiful people. Funny enough, they were, like someone said, they were wearing just leather slippers, jeans and jackets for whole day hiking in quite difficult terrain, which means we felt like a bit of an idiot, because who needs a gear?
Is this the shoes you're wearing?
Yeah, because this is this kind of shoes, yeah, but this kind of leather, that's what they wear, you know. That's my traffic shoes, yes. Of course, they have also trainers, and on the last day we have a guide who was having even rain jacket, but doesn't matter. Okay, that's one of my favorite photos. This is when we're finishing the trek, going for shopping down there because we ran out of food. But that is famous Amel Valley. and which I must say is quite something, especially because when you're on the top you can see quite a vast area with hills everywhere, but from the bottom at this particular place is the famous lion face. They have I don't have it in my prepared very well, but they have a famous rock shape which is gigantic, looks like a lion, and we just sitting beside it. What I also really like is the doors. I know it doesn't matter that much, but because you're passing through some villages, the classic Barber houses, and all of them have metal doors, but they all decorated and painted in individual way. I think so they like never, the patterns repeating themselves, but there's always different colors or different shapes, which means you look like the doors are always looking different, and I love that. And that they take care of that. Okay, few more.
Did you find that the symbols like meant anything in particular?
Yes, they would. Yeah. We spoke about that, and which means this is all, yeah. And if, yeah. And that's one of my favorite moments is like making friends with people. We met someone who spoke English. It was Ali, because he was there on holidays from Casablanca. But that was his home village. He just came for 2 weeks to visit with his friend and neighbor Hassan. Hassan is my love, you know. We just passed their house, you know, and because of the problems with the agents, let's call them the agents, they step in and they invite us for tea, which the agents didn't like that much. But that was our illegal tea and cakes. That was just absolutely like ad hoc situation. We're just passing their house. They saw us because Ali spoke English and he knew what's happening. They just invite us, and in the end, we not only have tea, we have chicken. We stay for another 2 days, and lots happened, and we're visiting other friends' houses. And here, Ali is teaching me how you are holding and wearing a bag, because all the women in Morocco, not all the women in Morocco, lots of women in south of Morocco, that's how they start the day. If they go with the much bigger basket than this is just fancy old-fashioned basket, they just use that to collect grass and plants for their vegetables. We saw a lot of older people, especially, mostly women, in the mornings collecting, when it's not as hot, collecting grass. But we also saw a woman remember the shop area? The woman came with similar but bigger basket for shopping.
It was comfy.
You cannot hear it, but it's not exactly comfy because you need to get used to the string and you kind of have to maneuver your head in your ears, but it's okay. It's okay. It was empty. I can't imagine carrying it with, you know, full of something. That was the day when I met a group of Barber women. Sadly, I don't have the woman on the photos because you cannot take a photo with the married woman. And the sign that you are, by the way, this orange strap which I'm wearing, that's mean I'm a married woman. Which means all the symbols are meaning something. And the jewelry which I'm wearing is part of the, like in our culture, we're passing jewelry from one generation to another. That's exactly happens there. Which means the brooches which I was wearing were like older than me, much older than me. And you can see the lady who was taking the videos at any of them, and I have quite a few. I don't have faces of the other ladies there. They were very curious about me, and they were very excited when I get dressed. They're not pushing the conversion. They don't ask you to be interested in Islam at all, at any point, but they find this quite amusing that you are dressed, because soon after you dress, you kind of transforming to be like one of them. It was a very interesting process. But I was so glad because it's very difficult to connect with women. They are not easily yeah, they're not easily approachable if you don't know the language, especially. But they keep the distance more than the men. Everywhere the men are on the kind of first contact, which means was so nice. I have few occasions, but from all of the occasions when I was with the woman, I don't have any photos because photos are not allowed. And then I stopped asking because it was clearly something uncomfortable. And you know, there was a bit of you cannot hear it, but there was a talk about this man who was working at the restaurant was my new Moroccan husband, and they were already planning, you know, the wedding and for how many. Being honest, that was not bad deal because my boyfriend tried to sell me for the camels. That was the talk of the whole trip. And in that situation, the offer happened, and they offered, I think so, 1,000. I was very pleased. However, to the great disappointment on Piotr, the deal didn't went through. Because he thought he will get the camels and after a year he will collect me back, you know, but it didn't work.
What time do you take these camels on the plane?
Unless I don't know exactly how he was planning to sort this, but you know, people with camels are happy people. Even though Morocco sometimes is not as mesmerizing as maybe Patagonia or Scotland, there are hidden treasures, and cool enough to this point were taken by our last guide, which I would say was a guide, not an agent, even though because at that stage we were able to discuss what we want to do, and he was using his Google Translator very well, giving us space and distance, but also suggesting to take us somewhere. And he took us to the gorge, which was on the side of the path, which we will never see if it wasn't of him. That's why I wanted to mention that if you're ever in Morocco, considering guides is maybe a better idea than what we did, especially in some areas, because that's the way of letting the people earn some money. But also they know their landscape really well. They know the special places which are very difficult to figure out from the maps, because there's not many maps. The only really good map collection was the guidebook, which I showed you at the beginning. There's not much information, which means the local people know their stuff. And this is the only place where I really swam. We went there. There was like maybe 20 minutes down from the path. But there was not many swimming places, which I was a bit disappointed. And this is one of the places when I went. That was our detour to the village called Energy, and that's our Abdullah, who is also running a little coffee shop there, and is also having a little. Shame is not. You cannot hear much, but he took us to the house of his neighbor, just to give us. It's the house which he's also taking care of, just to give us some fresh herbs for the journey. He also gave me some tea, some dry oregano, and some cumin for tomatoes, because they eat tomatoes, but they don't put salt. They put cumin on it, which is one of my little discoveries, because it's quite delicious. And yeah, this place was just very special. Also very good for climbing, but it's a little village accessible from the road, from the other side. But we came there from the mountains, and I chose that because I heard it's quite picturesque, and it was. The picture from before here, you know, the picture in the gorge. The gorge is just before the village. Very small place with like 20 houses maybe. Okay, we're coming to the top, because the whole idea was to climb the highest point in reasonable weather, and that's what's happened. That's the sunset on the highest peak, on the Jabal al-Qist, which is, I think so, just 2,375 meters. Doesn't sound much, but I think so it's one of the. It's nothing comparing to what I saw, neither in Corsica or Scotland doesn't compare at any point, because getting to the top requires lots of scrambling, lots of stuff. and because the path is not marked, you have to constantly look for the path. But we have good weather and all paid off. And we have a bit of inversion. That was the moment when we arrived on the top day before, in the evening. And jumping to another day, because I want to finish quicker. I presume this is a little clue, but could you tell me what it is?
Honey.
That is the
Beehive.
beehive. Yes, this is a beehive. And if you could hear it, me saying it is of course made of what? What you think could be used to make the beehive? Of course, is either sheep or goat poo, because it was not smelling of honey, it was clearly smelling of something else. But it worked, and this little place here, that's where the beehives are kept. I find this quite mesmerizing that in quite deserted, empty space, people can use whatever they have, to build resources. And it's fun. That was that was day 10, yeah, and that is from the day 2 when a very, very welcoming family gave us honeycombs with still alive bees inside. But now this one is working. We were inside when we were eating it, and we realized what it is. It was still delicious, but I think so we ate some bees before we realized they are inside. It was bizarre and disgusting in the same time. But that's how Morocco is.
Pure protein.
Yeah.
That was pure, yes. I think so. That's why the whole trip happened, because of the bees at the start. Okay. Sometimes I have to jump to my escape button. Sorry guys, I don't know why, but let's go to being lost. Being honest, we have 2 moments when we got lost. One was a bit unpleasant, which means I'm not going to talk about it. But what I want to say is so easy to lose the path. And that was for example, one passage which we have to take. And you walk into the landscape, which looks like a moon, and there's lots of places where you have to really think where you have to go, which means I'm not having big talk about it, but there were quite a few days when map searching and route searching took a long time. For example, on this particular day, I just saw we did 6 kilometers in 9 hours.
6 kilometers in 9 hours.
It was like big work, because, yeah.
And was it because of the path, because it was technical too?
It was technical, yeah. First, yeah. There was times when it was a bit better, but when we have to pass the bags, because for example, here, we have to take everything because we have to pass through that narrow place. But there were very steep places when because we have big bags with me. Sometimes I took them off.
Being with agents, right?
On this day, that's funny moment. That's when you need the agents. They're not there. That's what Piotr was laughing. That at the moments when it became very tricky after the summit.
They are smart.
They are smart. They are very smart. They know which will get killed. Just go there by yourself. But that was very deserted area, away from any villages, and quite high up, which means coming back to David Wood in the book and the GPX files. Without them, it was not possible. You need to be really prepared.
Did you have digital
Yes.
navigation and
Yes.
maps?
Yes. But mostly everything on the phone downloaded before. Yeah. The good thing is, which I should mention, extremely good internet everywhere, nearly. We didn't have any problem with connection. In totally, but I think so. The current king, Mohammed VI, did 3 good things, which is access of water, and you can see that in a moment water is everywhere in the villages, internet and electricity. Seemingly in the last 10 years is a big improvement in that, and you can see it. to the king. See? And that's another, one of my favorite moments. That's the hill which we finish with. I think so it's called Moir, but my pronunciation is not the best. But we did it as an addition to the trek, changing the route a little bit. And that was the place which I was a bit worried about, because that requires scrambling and quite exposed passing. But it worked. I must say, probably it's one of the hardest hill I did, especially with the big bag. But again, some experience from the past, but also route finding with the mud paid off. And it's incredible what you can do with a bit of luck. And someone mentioned the sandstorms. You can see that you cannot see much. Is that because this is even closer to Sahara, and for last 2 days of the trip, there was clearly something in the air. I mean sand. I don't know why I cannot jump over to the next one. Also, something which I want to mention at the end is the food again, because sometimes you fed like crazy. You are given extra, you are asked to have more. People randomly give you food for nothing. And then you eat. That was our last thing which we ate. We didn't have anything at that point, we didn't have any water. And this is our last can of sardines which we kept. We are like 6 kilometers from the end of the route, you know. It's not long, but it was the last thing. And I think so that's what's supposed to be the next slide, I hope so. Because in Morocco there's not very much recycling. And there's not, like I said, much of pathfinding with marking. But what we discovered, I don't know if this is going to play, but I hope so it's going to play.
Dzień dobry.
The last video is playing.
Górę Atlasu, ale najlepszą atrakcją Atlasów to nie są góry, tylko recycling.
There are old cans everywhere.
I ogólnie takie skały widmo i kosa drzewina, która tak naprawdę jest skarowanym miastem. A to znowu jest Patowski. Jak się czuje?
Dobrze. Jak widzę recykling.
German will be proud.
What I'm trying to say is there's no marking, there is no signs, it's nearly finished. But if you see the old cans, that's meaning on the path. Because the guides or whoever is going there clearly are eating sardines and they never take the rubbish away, sadly. And you can see it all the way. Not often, but in good spots for sitting and having lunch, there will be cans. Very rarely you see something cool, and sometimes you see very cold creatures like this one. I still don't know exactly what it is, even though I was looking for it and I found it, but I forgot the name. But that was my favorite wild animal on the trek. Coming to the end.
Dzień dobry.
And no more dzień dobry. That was hot. On the last 3 days, that was hot. Super hot and incredibly hot, which means please take whatever you have to protect yourself from the heat. I'm not going to play the video because it's only about us dying from the heat. We used the solar panel and it worked very well on the last 2 days. And when it's so hot during the day, we did what the Moroccans do, which means we walk in the morning, have a long break from 1 to 4, even 5, and then walk after. Same like the cats, which are everywhere there, because in the middle of the day it's impossible, especially when you lower down. It's just so hot, it's like impossible. And what's the best about Morocco? Of course, Hassan is my favorite person. You can see it, I don't have to repeat it, they're just incredible people who always take care of you. And I hope so this video works. Please.
Mulnego, smacznego mulnego.
Mulnego, smacznego.
Smacznego mulnego.
And what's the most important thing in the world?
Huh? To share the smile. If you don't have anything to give nice words and smile and hope.
And the best food in the world.
Yes.
course, this was it's all about the food and people, mostly the food. But I love what he said. That was one of the, that was when we spent one afternoon being honest, hiding from the sun. But it was incredible because we share so many things in that little coffee place. And that's the end. I just wanted, this is the end when we finish in Marrakesh, being honest, but that was such a special lady and I thought I can finish with that. Because what else you can say? Tamarit is thank you in Barber, Assalamu alaikum in Arabic, and thank you so much Morocco for being there. I think so that's the end. Thank you so much. Being honest, before I finish, I want to just say a big thank you to Supergirl Roksi who organized it. I wanted to say it at the beginning, but it's all here because of you. Thank you so much. Please take the stage.
Alright, so we're going with the next person and presentation, which is me. And I'm gonna talk about Norway in a minute.
Okay, let's give her a moment. Like if you read Moroccan, you can have either the dates or you can have Polish scratch. I can have both because we don't have to. They are not sadly Moroccan dates. They are from Palestine, but I think so I can forgive because it's not easy to buy them. Well done. Genius. Yes, the toilet break is also allowed.
Thank you so much, Camila. That was really lovely presentation. Okay.
Oh gosh, I can't wait.
Right. So Norway road trip. Are you ready? Something about me. Most of you know me already. I'm Roksi, from Poland as well, living here in Scotland. I have lots of passions. It's so hard sometimes to focus on one thing, but I manage. I love traveling. I've been in 24 countries now and more ahead. And this one is one of them. Norway road trip, 3 weeks. About that in a moment. First, I'm gonna tell you some facts about Norway, fjords, which are the most magnificent waters connected with the sea. There is more than 1,000 of them. Mountains, which I didn't realize how beautiful they are in Norway, and again, they are like more than 2,000 meters, which I was pretty surprised. More than 3,000 peaks. And this trip wasn't about mountains, it was about experiencing all the travel from Poland to Norway and more. Plenty of lakes. I experienced for the first time in my life white nights, so basically not night. Northern Lights, as you already know, are very popular in the winter time. Wildlife, well, same as Scotland, there's lots of sheep here, which was surprising, but this is not the only one country where sheep are dominating. There are also other animals like wolves, bears, foxes. Actually, I didn't see any, to be honest. Arctic Ocean is connected at some points. Here's the photo in Lofoten, so it's already Arctic Ocean. Transport. Well, you can drive by car, but the most important transport is ferry, as sometimes you are unable to use another one. And their works are sub-buses. They are very well organized. There's gonna be story about ferry. Norway is one of the longest country in Europe. Camping routes. That's really interesting. I had no idea, but one of the friends from the trip find out that. So 150-meter rule is like you need to be 150 meters away from someone's house, and basically you can stay for maximum 2 nights. Although if you are in a wilderness, like mountains, beaches, it doesn't really matter. And Norway is one of the most safest country. There's not many crimes and one of the most expensive place. But we made it simple and the cheapest way as we've been able to do. So here's the map about our traveling. I think we made more than 7,000 kilometers. So traveling from Poland through Germany, then Copenhagen, then my lovely friends hosted us, then Oslo, so Norway, all the way up, almost, then coming back through Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and then Poland. So it was 3 weeks trip in July. Well, what did I take with me? In this lovely car. There were 4 of us and we fit everything in this car. Was for 3 weeks, and we are Polish people, right? And Polish people likes to have lots of things, lots of food. So let's go. This is what I took with me. Some dehydrated food, which I was able to cook. Some muesli, tortillas, so I was able to make some tortillas with some fresh vegetables. Vegan cabanosy, like vegan meat, some snacks, chocolates, tofu, my favorite, some fruits, some juices, vegetables, again, peppers are really amazing, and some teas. On the way, I was also buying some fresh fruits and vegetables. Clothing. So Norway is also unpredictable as Scotland, so it can be 4-season weather from summer till winter, so we had no clue. So I have here basically everything from my winter jackets, waterproofs, fleeces, to swimsuit, shorts, dress, even hot water bottle, as I like to stay cozy and warm in my tent. Well, tent is over there as well. I'm missing sleeping bag, but some shoes. I had also extra shoes, smidges, which was also really important part of it. 2 bags, some hiking poles, and also another important thing, angel scars, just to draw some intention for some days. Right, and this is how it looks like comparing my body size. So quite a lot, and the question is, did I fit everything in these 2 bags plus food?
Yes, you must.
So I managed. I feel I'm quite... I know, I just took it extra, you know. I wanted to have also something nice and juicy. So yeah, I managed to pack everything, as you see. So those 2 with all the clothing, here, food, watermelon. So yeah. And this is our team, 4 of us. Here is the first photo just before jumping and driving. Kamil was main driver. I have driving license too, but I haven't been driving much. And it's gonna be a story about it, which is here. So here we are very close, well, to Copenhagen, and there was a moment when we've been driving. I think we've been driving more than 10 hours. Like, don't trust navigation. Like, it shows you 8 hours, 10 hours, but you stop somewhere. Then there are some traffic or roadworks. You never know, right? And it was a night. And, you know, everyone been sleeping in the car, apart of the driver, right? But I could sense in my body that he falling asleep. And I was like, Kamil, are you falling asleep? Do you want to change? And he was like, yes, I want. So we changed on the highway. And for the first time from a long time, I was driving on the highway. It was interesting. I managed. We've been safe. I'm here, and they are also alive. So yeah, that was during the night, and yeah, I can just say I just struggle when I see some traffic lights. Then I was not really managing by the gear, and I was like, okay, Camille, we need to change. But yeah, he got proper sleep of 2 hours, so I had my 2 hours driving fun. Now I love driving. I just simply love it. And so Copenhagen, Denmark. Here we stayed overnight, but we actually arrived around 8 o'clock in the morning to my friends Maya and Juan, who are living in Copenhagen, Denmark. If they are watching us, big hi and big thank you for you guys. They also share like a breakfast with us, which was so lovely, as we've been a bit hungry, tired, you know, many hours in the car. And then we simply slept. In the night we just walk around Denmark, and then we needed to keep continuing with our trip. But before that, we needed to plan something. As in theory, you know, you want to do something, and if you never travel and you think that spontaneously you can just go somewhere, it can be struggle and it cannot go well. So we decided to plan ahead 2 or 3 days between each day. Where we're going and what's our plan, and also checking the driving timing, as driving timing can be quite different again from the Google Maps. So for example, when it shows 2 hours driving from one point to another, it can be actually 3 hours because you stop, you need a toilet, you need some fresh air, whatever, right? So yeah, and yeah, the most important part was I was able to read that, and others too, a little bit. There was a bit more maps actually for each section, and it was really, really helpful. Here is our car, how it looks like. It's a bit packed, right? The front window is visible, as you can see. The back window, that's a different story. But yeah, we've been fine. Here is our first stop near the lake. That was our camping place. It's actually close to the Oslo. We've been driving there, so Norway. Here's just a setting tent video. Then we went for a sleep, for a nap, 2-3 hours, as we arrived like midday. And then some brunch, not a breakfast, some food. And we just have some fun, jumping to the water, yeah, exploring this beauty of Norway. But this is just a beginning, like. Also, we needed to have some shower equipment, as like for me, it doesn't really matter. Like I can, like my shower is just jumping to the white water, river, waterfall or fjords. But yeah, as we respect each other, we had agreement that every second day we will find the camping place with some normal shower. Although here I contact one of my friends, Thomas, who host us for a shower. So we had shower after 1 day of traveling from Copenhagen, something like that. So yeah, we catch up after some time, which was really kind of him. Here is another camping spot, really beautiful. I really like it, in the wildness. So Norway already showed her beauty. And wild fruits. I was so pleased that I found wild strawberries, which is not really typical for Scotland. In Poland, I remember that from my childhood. But there I was like in a heaven, you know. So yeah, breakfast was somehow ready. Yeah, and here we go. So about the ships, as I said before, they are everywhere and they are very friendly. They are different than Scottish ones. Like, they just come to you and they talk to you I think I never pet sheep in my life in Scotland, but there we go. Like,
That's just so unusual.
yeah, yes. So we had like a really great welcoming from the sheep in Norway. Next part is first serious hike. I would call it as a scrambling party run. So yeah, this is the photo from one of the places, and yeah, that's one of the most popular place on this hike. I cannot believe that I was there, like, and I have no idea how people can stand on it. Like, I needed to squeeze between, like, behind this rock, which is very, like, this space, and then go here. I mean, yeah. So there's nothing.
Scary?
Yes, I mean, my heart was very high, I would say. But it was fun. So on this trip, actually, I go by my own because one of the companion, she was suffering from the knee pain, and they decided to stay. And I just felt I can manage in 2-3 hours going up and back. And here is a video from it. On the way, I met amazing people who made the photos from before slide, a Norwegian couple. Yeah, we had the same piece of hiking, almost running, so that was quite fun. And it's not flat, right? I would not recommend this hike when it's raining. Like, it's too dangerous. It's like everywhere is rock, and it's basically going up or running down. Yeah, so it took me at the end like an hour and a half up, and then an hour and a half down, or maybe even shorter. Weather was good, with some clouds, but we did not experience rain almost at all during the trip. And some snow, yeah, surprisingly some snow on the top. Yeah, the Norwegian couple, they've been standing on it. I don't know how, but yeah. Oh yeah, of course, that's the most important part, having some food. Yeah. Some few more photos. Oh, right. Morning reality after night. Sometimes nights were pretty chilly, depends where we went. Here was the place where actually interesting friends, peers.
In Norway. The old friends from Scotland, they call midges.
So, yeah, I find out that midges are not only in Scotland, sadly, but from the other side, they are good protectors, right? So, I mean, people won't build the houses around the highlands in Scotland, for example, or in these places in Norway, right? In this way.
It keeps them wild.
Yes, yes. So they are annoying, but also they have some function on this planet, which I believe is good. But then the bites are not really great on the skin. So I use the sprays from Scotland in Norway. New day, new adventure. And here, the basket behind me, it was for washing clothing. Sometimes we use that. Oh, where's the... Whoops. So, Prekistolen Pulpit Rock hike is another great hike, which we made as a group this time. Weather was stunning. and it took us like a all day, as we've been walking slower. Although I had so much fun. Like maybe you can recognize this rock. It's really crowded place, but like breathtaking experience. And here it's gonna be one of 4 of us. We made it all together, which was the more important goal. I'm so sorry, bit too loud. So here's the video from the hike, 8-kilometer hike. And it's very easy walk, I would say. Flat, very accessible. Again, only in a dry conditions, would recommend it. Yeah, I also hike up a bit higher, as I see that is accessible. And it would be really nice to swim in the fjord over there, but from a different place. Maybe it's more accessible. Another day, another camping spot, as we've been moving constantly, so we never slept in the same place, every day different place, basically. And as I'm a very morning person, or used to be, well, maybe used to be, I was always awake before everybody, like 2-3 hours, and I was exploring the area where we stayed for overnight. And what I wanted to say? Yeah, it was nice to have this time just for me, so I was like meditating and just having some time. Even like a wild swims. And here, as you can see some signs, so all these hikes were in Stavanger area, and now we're heading to Bergen. Our lovely car, not fully packed, right? Well, a bit. And ferry story. So now we're starting using some ferries, one by mistake. So we didn't realize, but we took one extra ferry. And in Norway, in most cases, actually ferries are for free, because this is the only way, only access to go to the other islands or different cities. Yeah, I don't know how it happened, like one ferry extra, but anyway, we didn't have to pay, so for Polish people it's like, it's good.
It's good for everyone.
Yeah.
Take a car on the ferry, it's just you guys.
Yeah, we've been traveling all the way, yeah.
Did you actually have to come back from the ferry? Or just keep going?
Good question, I don't remember. Yeah, I remember 3 ferries, not 4. So maybe there was a way to drive to the other place where we wanted to go. In Norway there's plenty of waterfalls as well, really amazing ones. And yeah, one of my favorite sports, when I see that fjord, I was like, oh, I need to swim there and I need to connect with the nature, which basically I was wild swimming almost every day, or every day whenever it was possible. So I felt every day fresh, and my body never felt as good as on this time there, and even like my hair didn't need any shampoos and stuff. So I don't think we need them. We just need to be connected with the nature and this element. Right, there was one more photo here. Let's see. In Norway, you can search some gold, which I'm gonna talk about more. So Kamil was very attentive searching for it. Here we crossing the valley, which is surrounded by beautiful Norwegian mountains. It was so much fun, and also, as you can see, there was like snow on the peaks, and it's still July. So this is how the road looks like. Pretty interesting, like a roller coaster, but it didn't feel like that. So I don't know.
So was it big enough for 2 cars? Or just one?
I think it was.
You see the hotel there on the back.
Yeah, the passing places.
Yeah, so that's one. But there was no cars, to be honest, only us. Yeah, here is still like a darkness in the night, but we heading towards north constantly. Another camping spot.
What month were you?
July. So drying clothes, how we manage? As we experience such a beautiful weather, like sunshine constantly, we've been drying our clothes like that. Or sometimes inside of the car, I was using some clippers attaching to the chairs. This is how you manage. White nights. So here we've been listening some techno, and it's like 1 o'clock. As you can see over there. Yeah, AM. Yeah, and it looks like, I don't know, like yeah, exactly.
Scotland is midday.
Yeah, and I think 2 AM was pretty the same. Here we visited, well, we didn't really visit it, we just stand in front of it, like a Arctic Circle center, which wasn't open as it was 3 AM, so, well, yeah, sunrise time, 3 AM, some random Polish people on the way. So this place physically marks the invisible boundary where the midnight sun and polar nights begin. And we've been just there for a moment, as there was nothing really else to do there. Fun fact, one place actually has some attachment in the bathroom, so nobody can steal the toilet roll. And some instruction how you can use the bathroom or you cannot. So I have no idea if people really know doing this stuff or it's just like a joke. Well, you never know, right?
Stealing toilet paper. It's actually a thing.
Yeah, it's actually.
I think it is actually a thing. Yeah. Yeah. And here was one of the beauties place where we stay for overnight. We arrived there around 4 AM. Most of the time we went for a bed around 4 AM. That was our night, which didn't feel like super tired or like exhausting. It was kind of normal for us. And I felt pretty amazing with my body clock. Like I was sleeping basically every day 5 hours. And I was awake, really energetic and really like regenerate after the night, or like, you know what I mean, right? Night. So here's another one. Here's like a video, which is gonna work in a second. So story here. Yeah, Kamil was very fascinated by searching some gold. I think he brought 2 big bags with him. I don't know how he fit them in a car, but yeah, he took them. And yeah, we've been trying to find some gold. And guess, was it really gold or wasn't not gold? Because he checked that after he came back to Poland.
Could have been pyrite, which is similar to gold, but it's not.
Fool's gold.
I'm going to gold.
Okay, so unfortunately, it wasn't gold. So he just brought like 2 bags with heavy rocks to Poland from Norway. But it was fun. Like he was so enthusiastic, and I was enthusiastic about it too. But yeah. Whoops. reading about it. So used to people actually been searching in the streams, in the rivers for the gold, and they've been finding a lot of gold. But maybe it's not anymore a big thing. This time only one ferry. We're heading to Lofotens. And also cinnamon rolls. Oh my god, they were so delicious. Like, I love food, you already know. And cinnamon rolls, even in the petrol station, they taste so amazingly. Oh my god, like comparing Scotland to supermarkets is nothing, it's nothing. Over there, everywhere, the food is amazing. I mean, these cinnamon rolls. So that was our treasure, really, really pleasant. Welcome in Lofoten. Which is an island on Norway. In Norway, on the north, really beautiful mountains over there. And we visit one of the friends of Camille, and we've been staying in a village where there's not many people. It calls like BO, that's the name of the village. And as usual, as you saw on the previous picture, I was taking my shower bath as usual, and then we stayed for 1 or 2 nights, and then we've been heading forward with our trip. And this lovely baby needs some attention, as she was so adorable. She was bringing so much love to us, and I needed just put her here on the video. So many kisses, so much love. Yeah, that was just pure love, and yeah.
You just used butter on your face.
Yeah.
It smells the cinnamon rolls.
Possible. No, don't say that. Right, one of the beach in the Norway, really beautiful. Here's like a short video. We spent like a 1 day just chilling, having some swim in the Arctic Ocean. The weather was so good, 26 degrees. Not that warm.
Like it's still cold.
Yeah, like 8-10 degrees, I assume it was. And plenty of crabs, like you needed to be careful how you step actually. So water was so clear, like you've been able to see crabs, your hand, everything. So I was so amazed by this spectacular place. Yeah, and the next camping spot, as we need to sleep somewhere, we've been driving to find proper place. And before that, actually, we catch up some sunset, which was, as you see, just minutes before midnight. Really energetically charging. And the fun fact is, actually sunrise was 30 minutes after, so there was 30 minutes night, and then sunrise. So new day, right? You need to start the day. Yeah. And here we decided to stop and have camping on this sandy beach, which was a really good idea, and bringing all the stuff to the beach. And yeah, setting, and then going for a sleep around 3 a.m. As you see, some lovely sky. Possibly sunrise. Yeah, you know, I was sometimes confused. Is it like a day? Should I go for a sleep or what? But my body was tired. So yeah, a couple of hours of the sleep and then starting day again. Here is an amazing hike, which I really wanted to do. And actually, I've done it as we split with our companions. So they've been driving to another place, and I actually organized everything. Like the distance between one place to another would be like 2 hours or something, and then hiking up there maybe 30 minutes. So I was able to like catch up them later. So I have some solo time. Yeah, here we are. And it was so worth it because this is one of the view from the mountain as I was hiking up. And another video. On the way back, actually I met really great people like Belgian family, so we had a chat. Also one guy from Kazakhstan who lives in Germany, and he was doing some videos and photos by his drone, and he was like, oh, maybe I can record you. So he also recorded me, which was surprising. And yeah, basically I was running there just to fit with the time. So yeah, pretty amazing experience to see myself from this angle. And in general, like Norway is so breathtaking all the time. Yeah, some friends on the way. Yeah. And oh, where we are. Okay. So yeah, a few more photographs from this wonderful spot. So next one, as I was walking, running 1 hour, the next hike was to catch up the guys in a Kavlika beach, which had like a 5 kilometers, so not much to be there actually. It was pretty fun hike, surrounded by mountains and some rocks. Even some people were camping down there, but I cannot imagine carrying all the stuff and hiking there. I mean, well, I can imagine because I was doing that in Scotland, but not everybody is able to do that. So we need to know what we can do. And here actually was really interesting hut. Yeah, it's like a Hakuna Matata hut. Inside there were like people just sleeping overnight. You could obviously sleep there. Very tiny. Yeah. And yeah, it was basically inspired by Hakuna Matata, and they just built that somehow. So yeah, the idea was to sleep there, but then we've been too tired to go there at some point. So the beach was closest place, and hiking 2 or 3 hours more to this place with all the gear, I didn't feel it would be right. Just another camping spot in a grayish weather and food time. So that was my diet most of the time. Watermelon diet as well. Eating wraps which are very simple to prepare everywhere you are, and they are healthy as you use vegetables and whatever you really like, you can put there. And yeah, some spot we just noticed on the way up north. And Narvik was the highest point we managed to go, which is like very on top of the Norway. Here you can see some distances from this place to, let's say, even Warsaw, or where Paris, which is pretty interesting. And here we go to Finland. So Finland gave me some struggles, like you're traveling 3 weeks. It was already more than 2 weeks here. like tiredness, sometimes heats, breakdowns, crises, which I experience as we've been driving such a long distance from Norway to Finland. And also weather change, like the temperature, so it wasn't that warm to set up the tent. I mean, I don't mind, but yeah, we just keep going. So the temperature dropped to even 4 Celsius, and yeah, I didn't feel great. I was also on the water fasting to just clean my body and connect more with me. Also, after finding the place, which was somewhere here, we experienced thousands mosquitoes. So I was thinking, are midges worse or mosquitoes? Like in the woods in Finland, there is, I don't know, no way to escape from them. Although, after sleep in the tent, I took a morning walk and I wanted to meditate. And I was like, okay, I will try to meditate. Let's see if I will manage. So I sit on the grass. I took with me some incenses, and actually I was meditating like 10 minutes, and there was no mosquito. I don't know, like I think there's something more than we can realize, like energy. So something just protects me from the mosquitoes. And then after 10 minutes, I went for a pee, and there were mosquitoes, obviously, right? Just like a walk distance. But yeah, and then I break my fasting by the lovely watermelon, which was pretty amazing. Here we go. Do you know what is this animal? Can you recognize it?
Wash.
Moose. So it's female moose. Moose. Yes, and as we've been driving, this is already Finland. We actually. So everybody were sleeping in a car, apart of the driver, and he just pressed the brake very hardly, and everyone were awake. These are not my photos. We didn't take photos, and they were like 2 mooses actually crossing the road randomly. And imagine, they are quite big animals. So the female is from 1.5 meter to 2 meters, and the weight can be from 300 to 500 kilograms. Males are slightly bigger, can be still 700 kilograms. So you wouldn't like to have close connection with them. So we needed to stay outer during the driving there. And here, another animal, also kind of crossing, or not crossing the road, but there were more of them actually, like a family of rainers. Yeah, they were crossing the road, so we've been driving slow, but yeah, awareness. And Finland is really wild. I didn't realize there is nothing on north of the Finland. Basically hours of driving, only woods, and we just see maybe 2 old houses with nobody really. So that was quite interesting. And here's a Finnish kota, where I assume you can stay when it's winter time and just heat up, as there is a fireplace, some tables. Probably you can sleep on the floor, it's really nice and cozy. So we stayed there for a lunch, as outside there were thousands of mosquitoes. So we were unable to stay outside even it was warm. And we had food from the fire, which was really nice. It felt so warm and good. After 2 weeks eating only wraps, you feel maybe time for something different, right? We stay overnight close to this place as well, as soon as possible, escaping from mosquitoes to our tents.
Sorry for the question. On the Finland, they are bear as well?
Yeah, they are. Even Norway have some bears, but in Norway there's a little change to actually meet the bear. In Finland, I don't know. Okay. But they are also in Finland.
Interesting. You come outside as well.
And yeah, weird having normal shower for me. So we stayed in a like a campsite place just for a big shower, but it felt in my body like I don't want to, like it's so weird feeling this water from wherever it is. So I just jumped to the closest lake to have my typical shower.
Wash off the warm water.
Huh?
To wash off the warm water.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Here's another kota, which was a bit wilder, and nearby there was some one or two houses of the people. We stay here also for a night. Oh, here's like a.
How do you find them? Are they marked, or did you look for them? If you find the Chrobot, you know.
Yeah, we looked for them actually
Because
on the
you
map.
figure out the okay.
So we know how we're gonna drive, and just on the way we try to find if there are any.
But was it on the Google Maps or was it on?
We just search kind of on the not on the Google Maps. You cannot.
Was it on the
You need to, yeah. And oh yeah, just like a short video from the environment. Yeah.
Did you go on the boat?
No, it was so just having some food from the fire, escaping from mosquitoes, walking around, preparing again tent, or praying that mosquitoes not gonna eat us. Yeah, and here's also an interesting story. Like I was also afraid that mosquitoes gonna eat me alive, but actually, as soon as I went to the water, there was like a wind, so there were no mosquitoes. And then again, they came back after, right? Yeah. And some little friend wanted to say hi, and he's Steve. Yeah. Okay. A few more. Whoops. What's here? Yeah, so some photos, and actually here we got some lime to put between the trees and dry our stuff in this way, comparing the car way. Weapon for mosquitoes, like lemongrass, which is really good. So here we are in the city, so not nature as much as before, just short stop, and from here we've been heading to Estonia, taking ferry, as this is the only way to travel actually from Finland to Estonia. And we experience night on the night time, if it makes sense, which was pretty weird again, like experiencing, oh well, it's night. Although, actually, as soon we went to sleep, I heard some weird animal around walking near the tent and scratching a bit, and I was so freaked out about it. Like I couldn't sleep, and I was like, "Oh my God, when is this gonna end?" So maybe it was like a fox, maybe something else. I don't know. But for some time, I couldn't sleep, unfortunately. Here's the new day, and then Tallinn, Estonia, just a city walk. On the way, another beautiful spot. Here's like a Baltic Sea, really, really nice. Already in Latvia. We just stopped in Latvia for a night. Well, not for the night, for the walk around the city to see something, but it was already like 11 p.m. so not many people, not much happened. We just had some food actually, different than the wraps. Lithuania, Riga capital, pretty, I would say, rich city, so quite different than what we see on the way. And here I experienced some also crisis, which happening during the trips, and you need to deal with them. And here was our last camping spot in Lithuania, actually. So again, map of the trip where we went, and comparing Iceland, we've been way above, and even the same time, the weather was 26, as I told you before. In Iceland was maybe 12. So it doesn't really matter really with the weather, where you are, what country. And I think we made like 9,000 kilometers, as Camille checked that a little bit. And roads in Norway are payable, so you need to pay driving in Norway by your own car. We didn't pay, but Camille was aware that after 2 or 3 years they're gonna send us lovely letter with the invoice, which appear in December 2025. Although like splitting the amount of nearly 100 pounds between 4 of us is not that much. So, and traveling like 2 weeks in the Norway, I think is okay. So that was kind of surprise, but not surprise, because we didn't know how much we need to pay as well. So it was like...
Finland was okay, you didn't have to pay. It's just Norway.
Norway, yeah. And that's me, pretty much. Thank you so much. And let's invite another lovely speaker, Józewczak.
Oh no.
Yes. Okay.
Right, so I'm going to speak about my trip to Patagonia. It's a little bit different because it's not necessarily a budget trip, and it never was supposed to be. But I'm going to speak a little bit about how this trip kind of changed things for me afterward. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about about me, the stuff that I did in Patagonia, and then kind of things afterwards. So if you have any questions about the kind of specific adventures that I did in Patagonia, please feel free to ask me any questions. I'm not going to go super in depth with them. So, starting, that's me, believe it or not. So a little bit about me. I kind of went through life ticking all the boxes, climbing the ladder, all through high school, you know, gotta do all the sports, get really high grades, be on the top of my class. And I was kind of chasing this dream of stability, money, status, very egoistic. That was a version of me. And it's really weird looking at these pictures of me, because it was from a long time ago. And basically, I was going into uni in Canada, and that's where I was born and raised. And I had this unsettling feeling that there was just something off. Like there was no spark. I didn't feel that anymore. So I thought, well, maybe we need a different environment. So I ended up packing up my things, and I went to Poland, to Wrocław. And I decided that I was going to continue chasing this dream, but in Poland. And maybe that will make me happy. That was my shot at it. So that was me in medical school, and during medical school I really started to burn out at that point. And I continued chasing. I was wanting to, you know, have this status. I wanted the latest phone, I wanted the brands, I wanted to chase all these things that everyone told me that I needed to have. And I thought that freedom was going to come from having that status. And this is where I kind of talk about how this trip changed that for me. So that was me, and I started the foundation program, which was kind of the apprenticeship to be a doctor in the UK, and that's where the burnout became real. Like it knocked me off my feet, and I would wake up in the morning and I would look myself in the mirror, and it came to a point where I didn't recognize the person that was just looking back at me. And I slowly started to kind of find my feet, but I lost so much confidence in myself. It was rock bottom. So this this is a moment where I decided I didn't want to settle anymore. I wanted to feel that I loved my life. And this is a picture of me on my last day of my foundation year. And I decided at this point that I was gonna leave my career and I'm gonna choose myself over my career and decide this is my life, and I'm gonna decide how this goes. So this is my trip to Patagonia. So that's me in the airport. It took me about 2 days of travel. I had to go from London Heathrow to Buenos Aires in Argentina, and then stay in the airport. So that's my mattress. I was sleeping on the floor to El Calafate, and this is where I landed in El Calafate. And when I was landing, I was like, holy shit, this feels like Mars. Like, where am I? What am I doing? And I ended up also having to take a bus then to El Shelton, which is the small mountain kind of town by the Fitzroy. And a lot of people ask me why Patagonia, and I don't have a better reason than I enjoyed kind of recreationally climbing, and in the kind of climbing community everyone had the Patagonia gear, the hats, the t-shirts, and I thought, fuck it, I'm just gonna go see the mountain. I'm just gonna go see it. So after getting off the bus, that is me arriving in El Shelton. And basically when I was there, I decided to do an adventure guide program. So we had IFMGA, so International Federation Mountain Guide Association guides that would get us through different modules. So we did climbing modules, hiking modules, and intro to mountaineering. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about those, but for now, this is in El Shelton. It was so remote and kind of like similar to like kind of the pictures of the store. Like, it was just minimalistic, what you need, nothing fancy. The internet there, the Wi-Fi, if the wind blew too hard, it would blow the Wi-Fi away. Like, wow. It was incredible. And this is actually the view from El Shelton, kind of looking into the mountain kind of park. And that was me under the Fitzroy. So as I mentioned, there's kind of different modules that we worked through. So we did kind of like 1 week climbing, 1 week hiking, 1 week climbing. So I'm gonna kind of put general together the climbing, because I want to briefly go over a few things, but I want to talk more about the backpacking, because that's where I feel the deepest change came from. So in our modules, we worked from the kind of like basics. So we learned like how to make anchors, how to like belay. So I knew some of these things as a climber, but we had to kind of work our way up. So this was the main kind of climbing wall. So it's called the Perdón de los Condores. I totally probably slaughter these names, that's fine. And this wall had often the condor bird, so it's like a massive black bird. And if you've been to South America, you might know a little bit the trilogy, the puma, the snake, and the condor, so they kind of are combined together. And they represent kind of heaven, earth, and hell. And it's something really cool to read into it if you have some time. But the reason I mention that is there's a moment on this climbing wall, and it's here actually. So one of the routes I did, I still remember, it's called the Centro Alpino. And even though I was climbing and going into the mountains, weirdly I'm actually afraid of heights. And during a lot of the climbing exercises, I was climbing to a certain point, have a full-blown crisis, literally cry, clinging onto this wall, and then just seeing like working through that mental block of like, I've got to get through this. And that was like one of the huge kind of lessons also going through this, was like challenging myself through this. And this was actually, after I'd gone through that, a huge condor just flew like right behind me. And I didn't even realize because I was so into what I was doing. But all of the people that had gone were telling me that this was happening. And I came down and I could see it flying afterwards. And this is me just looking out. This is what the view we were getting from that climbing wall. So it was just absolutely insane. Coming back to this photo, because this is actually mate. So it's like a green caffeinated tea, and it's really traditional to Argentina. But what I love about it is that it's a drink that people share. So even when I was in the airport, some random man was offering me his little mate, and often you sit and you share it around like in a circle. So in the climbing crags, we also had it, and we were sharing it. That's me upside down. This is a really famous wall. It's called La Burbuja, or the Bubbles, and it's another climbing route that was really like triggering a lot of challenge and fear in me. So I was really happy to have done it, and especially on such a sunny day. And then, as I said, so we kind of worked our way up through the modules. So this is actually, we started getting into multi-pitch. So you start climbing in like several sectors and you keep going higher and higher. So we're setting up anchors. So like that's pretty high above the city, or the town there. So we kept going up, and the views of the mountain ranges were like amazing. And then that was actually one of our guides, Manuel. He was so knowledgeable. He was guiding like in Canada, in Norway, Sweden. So to have been taught by someone like that was an honor actually. And here I'm abseiling off the top of a multi-pitch, so like 150 meters in the air, being scared of heights. I was literally like, holy shit. And then that's also, you can see a condor flying above the wall. So I'm just going to touch really quickly of like other sides, kind of little adventures that we had. So this is the kind of Cerro Madsen that we did. So we had hiked and camped right under the Fitzroy. Like that is my view from my tent. Like to fall asleep to Fitzroy was something incredible. We got up at ungodly hours and we started hiking up the Cerro Madsen. And I cried. By the way, I cry all the time when I see a nicer view, but I was really specifically crying. This was bright orange. And actually you can see that she was quite emotional too. And we did a bit of scrambling up. and we got really close to the Fitzroy. We never actually climbed up it. That requires skills I think are beyond what I have at the moment. We did a pack rafting adventure, so just down the river as a big group. We did a biking adventure, so we took mountain bikes and we went to Laguna Azul, so a blue lagoon, so lake, and that's us biking again in the mountains. And then you can see like how blue the water really was. This photo really doesn't do it justice, but it was just like very reflective of the blue. And then we did the intro to mountaineering. So we did kind of basic ice axe work technique, how to travel on snow, how to like operate with crampons. We worked on crevasse rescue, so we did a bit of glacial travel, which I'll show you later. But I don't know if anyone's ever walked on a glacier before, but it's absolutely daunting because you're walking on snow and you actually don't really see the crevices, especially if they're covered with snow, but you don't see them until kind of late, so you really have to watch your step, and it's not an unusual occurrence. So you can see here you have pretty complex systems of like pulleys to try and make sure that if that were to happen that you can get them out. These are definitely like, we only got an intro, but these skills were quite extensive and really knowledgeable guide. That's us kind of playing around with the rescue systems. And then we managed to actually get out and do a bit of ice climbing, which is a lot harder than I expected. So I thought, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get the accent, ding, ding. And I was like sitting there like with like ice smashing in my face. And I was like, this is really hard. But to be on a glacier and play with your environment in so many different ways was just unreal. And then, as I said, so I definitely want to talk mostly about kind of backpacking, because this is where I feel the most kind of impact came and really affected or really showed me that you don't need a lot in this life, and kind of bringing things back to simplicity. So just like all the modules, we'd start from like basics, how to navigate, what to pack, and kind of what you're expecting. So a lot of people ask me, when you went to Patagonia, did you do the O trek and the W trek? I always get that question. And if you don't know, they're really popular kind of hikes that a lot of people go to Patagonia for. So I'm going to talk about two that are not the W and O trek, because I think kind of getting off the beaten track a little bit was so much more worth it. So the Wimel circuit, it's not an unknown one, but it's not one of those like really popular like touristy ones, but also stunning. So I'll just take you like day by day. So day one, we'd start in El Chelten by the ranger station. And the reason you had to go to the ranger station was actually because for this trek you needed a harness, and I'll kind of walk you through why. So on the first day we did 16 kilometers, about 730 gain, 480 loss, and we're hiking for about 9.5 hours. So this is what we were walking through. So on the right side you had Loma del Pie Tumbado, which is one of the mountain ranges, and then the Cordon de los Condores on the left side. And we walked down into this valley until we reached this lake where we were camping. And you were talking about the fauna, like the flowers, and they had these really cute little flowers, which they referred to as slippers. And the lake's name was Lago Toro. And then day 2, we went from Lago Toro to Passo del Viento. So we did 12 kilometers that day, 800 gain, 550 loss, and we hiked for about 9 hours. And this is actually, so this is the lake, which I was really surprised by the water, but actually the water from the glacier there was like a foggy color, but it was still safe to like swim in and drink with a filter. So because we were on an adventure guide program, we took days to kind of lead the hikes. So this was one of the days that I was leading. So this is actually, it's hard to tell, but this is actually a glacier. But we called it, it's like a dirty glacier because it has all this debris on it, so you don't actually see the top just there. But the water running was really rapid, so you really had to be careful at that point to get up onto the glacier. And that's the glacier there, so it's really hard. Again, like pictures don't do it justice ever, but these are the crevasses, and some of them were going really deep, so trying to lead a group over this, you really had to watch where you were going. And then that's from far away as well. And then that's the glacier behind me. And then once we passed the glacier, we were kind of walking into another territory where there was another like massive glacier that we would handlebar. So we had to start kind of getting into like snowy regions at that point. And you can see how big our backpacks are. Like it's not, it was not easy. And this was what I was talking about. We were going to Glacier Viedma. So this is the massive glacier, and it's if you looked at it on a map, I have a map. I don't have a picture of it in my presentation, unfortunately. But the noises that also come from glaciers, it's like a bellowing echo, which I've never experienced before, and it was really like humbling and also eerie at the same time. So this is us walking along the glacier, and then this is where we camped. So this was Passo del Viento, and this has had to have been one of my favorite nights ever sleeping outside. So in Patagonia, they also had quite long days, probably around like 11ish p.m. it just started getting dark, and then I'd say maybe like 5ish it started getting kind of light again. So it's similar to kind of Scotland during the summertime. But the reason this was one of my favorite nights is, and you can't tell in this picture, but there were so many stars and the sky was just lit up by them. And me and one of the other people on my program just took our mats and we put them outside the tent, and we just sat there looking up at the sky. And for the first time ever had I seen a shooting star, but it was like hundreds of them, like one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I just sat there like, and me and him were just in our little sleeping bag, just giggling every time they came by. And everyone else was like, can you guys just shut up? And I was like, no! I didn't sleep very well. And then the third day, we went from Passo del Viento to Bahia de Tampanos. So we went 14 kilometers, but the loss that we would had was over 1,000 meters. This was probably, until now, one of the hardest declines, especially with a backpack like that, I've done. So what we did was, so the Glacier Viedma that we were walking along, it then turned into Lagos Viedma, so it turns then into a lake. So all that glacier water was getting dumped there. So that's the glacier that we were still continuing to walk down. Like, this was really cool to see. And that's not like people driving or people walking, that was just the wind, the way that it would sweep the surface of the glacier. Okay. And then this is where the glacier turned into the lake. So these are all bits of the glacier, and we had to get down there. So that's like, this was the full decline of over 1,000 meters. And that's me being like, what the fuck are we just about to do? And yeah, I literally was like, there's no fucking way. Do you know like the glides or even the scrolls? I was like, can I just have one of those right now? Because we were camping just along this bit here. So I'm looking at the campsite, just being like, I can't believe we have to go down there. So this is us, like, just struggling to get down. And there was actually some points where we had to rope up to go down because it was too much. And the path, it was like a dusty so your like feet were sliding, you couldn't get good traction. And then that's us. That was one of the kind of roped areas that we had to get down. And I was just like, nope. I just went sliding down and I just sat there in disbelief. So that was our campsite. So we were looking at the icebergs, and like, again, this picture just doesn't do it justice. They were just these massifs of icebergs. And one of the coolest things ever, which I didn't know was a thing until I got there, was that the icebergs flip. And when they flip, it's like this, and I don't have videos, so I do apologize, but it was this like crashing sound. Like it was like a cracking, and then just boof. And because of where you were in the mountains, it would just echo through the mountains, and it was all night and just watching them flip. So I sat on this rock for hours after we got there, just looking at the icebergs flipping. Yeah, wow. And that was the sky at night, just so many stars, so clear because there's so little light pollution there. So the next day we went from Bacia de Tempanos, so our campsite, and we're going back to El Chaltén. So we did 13.5 kilometers and not much gain and loss, and hiking for about 8 hours. So that was us in the morning. We went for a swim with the icebergs. Actually, one guy the night before, he ended up swimming out, and again, the pictures don't do it justice. It was quite a distance to go. He went onto the iceberg. I was like, you're crazy. And it was one of those not long after that he was on flipped, and I was like, oh my god. So that was just our walk. So the walk back from Bacia de Tempanos to El Chaltén, this bit was kind of rolling hills, not too difficult, still quite nice, but nothing like too vigorous. A lot of cows and cow plops that you had to watch it for. So, yeah, it was really nice. And then this is where you needed the harness. So this is why for this hike, you do have to go to the ranger's station and show them that you have. Because there is another Tyrolean traverse, but there is an option to do like a river crossing. So, but this one, like you cannot cross this river. It was just way too rapid, way too wide. Yeah, I couldn't see anyone successfully crossing this. So this is basically a system where you have your harness and you clip it into the pulley system there, and you had to literally haul yourself across the river and kind of secure your backpack. Wow. I felt full on like Spy Kids mode. I was like, yeah. And then the next hike that we did was a little bit different in that it wasn't having trails. So the Wamul circuit and like WO and things, they actually have paths. This one did not. So as part of the training module, so kind of like with the climbing, you had to work up your skills. So this was like our last skill. You had to navigate using map and compass and no trail. So for this one, and again, if you want more information or anything, you can ask me at any point, but you need a special permit from a place called Eco Bonanza because it's their land. So day one, we took a taxi from El Chalten to Lago del Desierto. So this is a lake that was just north of El Chalten, and it was just because it was faster and it's just along roads and things, so we didn't want to be hiking on it. And from where we got dropped off, we wanted to get to a place called Laguna Pate, 12 kilometers, not much gain. We wanted to be hiking for 8.5 hours, but it ended up being a lot more. So this is the very beginning, crossing into the kind of terrain. So as you can see, there is no path, and you had to navigate. And similar to like Morocco, everything, it was dry and scratchy, all of the fauna, like you touch it, and it was also recommended to take long kind of trousers because your legs just look torn up afterwards. So when we were doing the intro to mountaineering, we were actually up on those glaciers. So that's Glacier Paspaniani and Wimul. So that's where we were doing our training, and that's the lake that we were kind of handlebarring on the left side. So this is just the view that we had behind us. So this is what we were trekking in. So we thought, oh, that's going to take us amount of time. So this was one of the days that I was also leading. So the way that we did it was I was going ahead bushwhacking, trying to find some kind of path, and then because we would do 2 leaders, and the second leader would just pace the group behind us to make sure that they were safe while I was just trying to navigate where the fuck we were going. This is where we ended up camping. So that was Laguna Pate, and all of it was always kind of wild camping. Sometimes, like on the Wemwell circuit, they'd have kind of camping areas, but it was not like a formal campsite or anything like that. And one of the girls actually had her birthday on this day while camping, so it was really nice. And that was during the kind of sunset hours. The second day we were going from Laguna Pate, and we were aiming to go to Laguna Mimosas, 15 kilometers, and we were thinking around 9 hours. And Cordon del Bosque was kind of the valley that we were trying to hit, because this area had a lot of kind of mountains, and this valley was the only kind of safe way to cross over. But again, the navigation was really difficult with all of the mountain ranges, and if you didn't hit that valley, then you'd get quite lost and you'd get into really dangerous terrain. So that's why the navigation of this was particularly difficult. So we woke up, made a game plan again, just map and compass. We had zero phones, I had 0 internet, nothing. So this was how we kind of started off. And then, as you can see, we were kind of hitting a bit of snow. We tried to handlebar. So what I mean by handlebarring is just kind of following along the river here. This day we had a lot of river crossings, which also eats up your time in hiking. So again, here, just like trying to bushwhack through any means of a path. And then that was again further terrain, just no path, trying to figure it out. And then getting into like different snow, different terrain. I don't have videos, I feel like I should have done videos, but this was a particularly difficult river crossing, so I don't know if this... Oh. So you can see we actually had to like strip right down. It was quite rapid, and it actually took a long time for this one to assess where we go in, because there's different kind of aspects of what would make a safe river crossing. And that's us, that's our group. and this is kind of what I meant by we tried to get to the Laguna Mimosas, but after all of the river crossings that we had, all of the off trek, we completely kind of were over ambitious that day, and we stopped early. Like all of us were just knackered. We're like, we can't do this anymore. We're not continuing. So we ended up kind of pitching for the night. So this is where we pitched. We initially were thinking to get to that lake because we have to always look for the water sources. This place, so this is where we had our tents, but this is what we were surrounded by. So these are all waterfalls that were trickling down from the snow. So when you were sleeping, all you could hear is just the like trickling of the water all around us. And then just the way the light reflected off of all of it. I've never seen such a wall of waterfalls before. Day 3, so this is where we're like, okay, we've got to get to Laguna Mimosas now, and continue down as that valley, Cordon del Bosque, and the Rio del Bosque. So this is the river. It forked out, and we wanted to get to that point. And it was 16 kilometers, 750 gain, 250 loss, and again 9 hours. So that was us setting off in the morning. So again, with having snow, with the heavy backpacks, it was quite difficult with navigating. And that was the Laguna Mimosas. That's where we were supposed to be camping. It was, again, another beautiful, beautiful spot. And this was one of the river crossings that we had. So initially, we were looking at, taking the shoes off and trying to manage a way to cross, but we ended up finding a snow bridge, which was good that it was strong enough, but some of the ones that we had found were quite scary, and we weren't able to get there. This
strong enough.
Yeah, a lot of poking around. You had to kind of assess things, send one person, basically be ready that anything happens, you're ready to get them. So it's, again, every river crossing just takes so much time to assess, because there's always that struggle between how willing you are to go wide, but then when it's wider, it's usually shallower, but if it's narrow, it's usually deeper, and it's finding that kind of balance. And especially in this area where the water is really freaking cold, you don't want to be deep, and it numbs your feet, so you don't really know where you're stepping, so you need to be quite mindful of that as well. And then this is when I feel the terrain kind of started to change. So the mountains, to me, started kind of looking more a little bit like Wild West vibes. So here's some of the views. Another river crossing. Yeah, just getting through the bushes. This was actually another one of our guides. Again, IFMGA trained, they are phenomenal. They really know their stuff. And this is where we camped for the night, and it was quite early, so we played a lot of games with hacky sacks. We were using stove lids as frisbees, and we always had a lot of fun together. Day 4, so we went from the area that we were camping to the Estancia Bonanza. So this is actually the people that we needed to get that permit from. And as you can see, it was only 6 kilometers, and there was a reason why. So we woke up the next morning and we started to head off. And this is what I mean, the red rock just reminded me of a Wild West type feel. And this is us, we started to finally hit a path, and we really like to do parkour in the forest with our backpacks. And that's, again, that kind of red strip of rock was really vibrant. And then we finally got to Estancia Bonanza, and what you may ask was there waiting for us was we did an epic horseback riding through the mountain ranges. Yeah, very, very cool experience. That's me on my horse. And then that's us kind of going through some of the valleys. And then that was one of our teammates. And then we ended up under the Fitzroy. So that was also really cool to end there. I think by the end of this trip I saw every angle of this mountain range. And that was one of the kind of Argentinian cowboys. And then at the end we had a big asado, so that's like a very traditional Argentinian barbecue, and again just eating all together. What I really loved about their kind of cultures, they were really about together and eating together. And then, so, this is kind of where I want to touch upon when I was talking about like Argentinians and how they are eating together. I wanted to kind of touch upon what this all kind of showed me and put into perspective and a little bit behind the scenes. So I think one of the things that was a big thing when I was talking about backpacking was just the simplicity of all of it. So realizing that you can live days, as you can see, out of a backpack, and really reconsidering what you need. And like even realizing how like how like deodorant even is like a social construct, or shampoo is, do you need this? You know, and when you're in the mountains, do you give a shit about the brand? Do you give a shit that your outfit looks ridiculous? Like you saw some of my pictures, like what am I even wearing? Like, I think one of the things I even had was my snowboarding jacket from 2006. I had it. That's how old that jacket was. I just didn't care. All I cared was that I was in the mountains and I was freaking happy. And I learned, and this really showed me that my big personality doesn't fit in a box, and it doesn't have to. And we need more of that in the world. You know, bring your personality into this world. Like, don't hide it. Rest. This trip showed me rest, which was something that I didn't know how to do. Climbing up the ladder, grinding through everything. Just turn off, and you need those times. It showed me being present, something I realized during the trip, and I think I realized it quite late, unfortunately, was that I kept kind of planning things. And I like, you know, you have to have some kind of direction, but I was always obsessed with like, I need to know this detail, by this date I gotta do this, and I was like, and by 5 years that's my plan, and by 7 years this is what's gonna happen. And just letting go and enjoying the now was what this trip really also showed me. Togetherness, so connection, like being with my group of people, having a crisis with your group of people, eating together. That was a huge one for me. I am guilty that I don't do this enough now, and I hope, you know, it's not perfect, I hope to work on this, is eating together. And here's a few pictures of us. That was actually at the icebergs, just sat there all together. And that's also, and this one, it opened my eyes to push boundaries, push limits, and, you know, face fear sometimes, and really kind of defining fear for me. So I remember I used to like get worked up about things and be scared of things, and then when you're kind of dangling off a cliff edge, you're like, actually this is really fucking scary, and having to like work your mind through that was a really interesting experiment almost. This trip also showed me to just do things because I want to, because they make me happy, just no other reason, and not have like a big explanation for it. This is actually, I spent Christmas in Patagonia, so that's my wee snowman, and of course I'm the present under the tree. And play, that was another big thing that this trip showed me, was to just play, be silly, and to not forget that. Like, just don't forget that little child that's screaming inside of you. And again, just play. And this is us sliding down on whatever mats we could find down the mountain. And then that was under the Fitzroy doing cartwheels. Being a menace. Being an absolute menace. And being free, like just being yourself. And I think the mountains, kind of looking at how big they were, just showed me how all the small things in my life that I kind of get worried about, like, do they really matter? Do they really matter? What is the big picture here? And I skipped these ones, but laughing. I love laughing, and there's so many physiological benefits to laughing, and I think it's so important, and especially when you can laugh with people and enjoy their company. I think it's so important. So, obviously this trip did not fix all of my problems. I had to find reality again. So, one of the things, you know, I really had to question was, you know, what are my values? You know, who am I? Who am I outside of my career? What do I like? You know, what's important to me? So I think what ended up happening was I knew that I had to leave this place, but I wanted to build a life that I didn't have to feel like I was running away from anymore. One that I could just comfortably kind of live with. So I came up with these kind of 3 conclusions, and I think the first one is take care of your body. And I mean this in movement, I mean this in eating good, you know, eating quality food, not kind of ultra processed things. One of the things that I saw in my career over and over, and I still see in my career over and over, is if you treat your body like shit, it will treat you like shit back. It will get you back at some point. So when you move, when you know, get your strength and take care of it, it will take care of you later. And that was one of the things I wanted to bring forward after this trip in the way that I lived, was to take care of that. Get your sleep, eat well. The second one was quality connections. So
That's the campus closing, guys.
okay. Was quality connections and keeping it simple. So touching on kind of quality connections. So, and I've probably mentioned this to a few of you before, there is a really lovely study by the Harvard University, and it's a study that was over 80 years long. And after looking at fame, how much money you made, whatever, the thing that mattered the most to your happiness and your well-being was quality connections. Quality connections protect your mind and your body. Isolation can kill you, and actually was compared to smoking half a pack of cigarettes a day. So it's not to be taken lightly. And then keeping it simple, asking myself, why do I need that latest phone? Why am I buying this? What do I need this for? And wanting to keep it simple with, I want to have, you know, experiences, and I don't need all these things anymore. Oh, I don't know how to do this in 5 minutes. So very quickly, I ended up coming back to medicine. I ended up getting back into the intensive care in London. I found the city was not for me. I still aimed to live my life based on those 3 things that I felt were most important. So getting out there, getting into nature, trying my best. That was doing the Welsh 3000. That was the Balkan Peaks trek. And then ultimately it came down to the city is not for me. So I ended up spending about 3 weeks with my sister in Costa Rica reassessing before coming to Scotland. And here I'm able to find, you know, refuge in the mountains, nature, and be able to work on those 3 things that I learned from my trip. And the different changes that I did was, you know, cutting down my work hours, finding a place I enjoyed to work, finding a place I enjoyed living, finding beautiful people around me, and enjoying my life, finally falling in love with my life again. Being part of mountain rescue, I was very inspired when I was in Patagonia. If anyone's at the hop run on Saturday, I'll be there volunteering. Enjoying nature and people. That was being authentic, being wild and crazy. Thank you.